Canola School on realagriculture.com is brought to you by Alberta Canola Producers Commission, Sask Canola, and Manitoba Canola Growers. Sean Haney here with realagriculture.com, and I'm at the Canola Discovery Forum in Canmore, Alberta, and right now I'm joined by
Neil Harker, Ag Canada Lacombe.
Well, it's great to have you back on Real Agriculture. How are you doing today?
Really good, yes.
Okay, you were on a panel discussion this morning talking about canola stand establishments. And some of the old rules do apply. We'll call them old rules.
Yep.
But there is some interesting things you brought up this morning in terms of getting growers to think about some things a little bit differently in regards to stand establishment. Mm-hmm. Let's start off with speed versus depth.
Okay. Well, yeah, we've done quite a few experiments on comparing depth of seeding with the speed of seeding. And we've had them both in the same trial, and so we know which one's more important. And over the years, we feel that depth is the biggest factor. Now, the complicating factor is that if you go really fast, well, then the depth can change because the back ranks of the cultivator will throw more soil. So speed does influence depth in some ways too. So,
well, I think some of the trial results you show, some of the pictures, it really shows that just focusing on speed, but say we're going to go super slow and sort of foregoing the focus on depth, you're really not. There's no gains being made whatsoever.
No, that can be problematic. I mean, if you're down 2 inches or more with canola seed, a tiny seed like that, doesn't matter how slow you go, they're going to have a tough time getting out of the ground.
Yeah. So, well, some of the focus now on precision agriculture, we talk about precision planting and those kinds of things. We've seen some growers really focus on bringing seed population or seeding population back, to 1.5 pounds per acre, some pretty low numbers compared to where we were at one time where a lot of guys were seeding closer to 7.
Yeah.
Do you have concerns in that area?
Yeah, I have a lot of concerns with that. I think there are a few factors. One of them is people have been using different planters and going back to discs and where you can get a little more precise depth control and a little better seed placement sometimes. But also, at the same time, over the last 2 or 3 years, especially in 13 and 14, we had really excellent soil moisture conditions. And so they did all those studies under really excellent soil moisture. Then you come to a normal year and all the great results turn to dust.
Yeah.
So I'm a little worried that once we come under more normal conditions that these really low seeding rates are going to hurt us.
And the reality of that, though, is that it's kind of the story of this year as well, right? I talked to Murray earlier, and he was telling me about how, really about this year we need to forget everything. Some stuff worked that shouldn't have worked, and that's just how it goes. But are we changing our view in terms of canola stand establishment, in terms of how many plants we do need in a good plant stand, or is it really the same rules apply?
I think it's pretty well the same rules apply. We would like to see 7 to 10 plants and a minimum of 5. Once we go below 5, we think we're losing yield potential in this area. Now, people get strange ideas because they'll go to Australia or China or somewhere where they grow a lot of winter canola, or even Europe, and they're targeting 2 or 3 plants, and it works better in a winter canola situation. So then they come here and try that, and it doesn't work as well. But yeah, we'd like to see at least 5 plants and an optimal of 7 plants. And then we've got room for flea beetle damage, we've got room for frost damage, and root maggot pressure is less at higher populations. So there's all kinds of reasons why you want to go there. Maturity is quicker. You get through the flowering period more quickly, that's where the temperature stress is. That's one of the biggest yield impediments for canola, is those days over 30 degrees during flowering. And so if you can shorten that period up, the stand is what gets you there.
Yeah. What's really, really interesting about the whole discussion is that we're really having a hard time convincing ourselves about some of these rules. Like, so we've seen for a long time that we're always trying to push growers to have a certain stand establishment. It seems certain pieces of the grower population, no, it can be way less. Why do you think that happens?
Well, I don't know. People like to believe in magic, I guess, or they like to feel that they're special and they can do things differently, and indeed some can. Some that are more careful and they know their soils really well, you can push the limits a little bit. But some of the limits they're talking about they're pushing a little too far. You know, going down to 1.5 pounds per acre, you know, it's not going to give you 7 plants. In fact, it can't unless your seed size is well below 2 grams per thousand, which is about half the normal seed size.
Yeah. Well, what's really, when you go to a field and you actually look at what 5 plants actually looks like,
Yeah.
It's pretty skinny.
Yeah, it's not that much. Yeah. And so when you go less than that, not only does it look skinny and it delays maturity and you might get more green seed because you get later flowering and all that, but then you start talking about another herbicide application because the canopy is not closed. So then you're putting more selection pressure on for resistance, you're adding herbicide costs. There's just so many reasons why you want a good stand, and it's not all yield. It's not always yield, it's a lot of things.
You talked about how you and Jay Wetter place Smarties out in the field to show growers the proper amount of place seeds per foot. Tell us a little about that.
Yeah, well, it was Jay Wetter's idea actually, and he actually simulated a square meter, and so we took it out to much bigger square than that, and we placed some. Actually, they're blue M&Ms. I said Smarties. They were M&Ms, and so we actually placed those blue, because canola seed's often blue, on the ground just to show them what that would look like in terms of what they should be seeing in the field. And
what was the reaction?
Well, I think they liked it, but I think they're a little shocked at sometimes of how many blue seeds they needed to get the stand up to where they needed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Dr. Harker, thanks a lot for joining us today, and we'll talk to you again soon.
No problem.